Welcome to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Morning, everyone. Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. Hope you're doing well. Talking to some of you in Discord yesterday and today. I don't know if some of you are doing well after that Thursday night football game. We'll talk about the Seahawks victory over the Rams on the show and what I am terming the Colby Parkinson Fiasco. You all lost your minds. We'll get into that in a few minutes. I'm Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. I'll throw up on the screen what we're going to do today. It's a Friday. We'll review that Thursday night football game. Great game. Goes to overtime. Seahawks defeat the Rams. Seahawks move to 12-3, take over the NFC, 38-37. We'll talk again in more detail about that in a few minutes. We'll also then spend some time looking around the landscape. It's semifinals week for most people, not everybody, but for most people, semifinals week. Let me take a sip of Gatorade here. I probably should have done that before the show started. We'll take a look around the NFL. What's doing it with the Bears receiving core? What's going on in the backfield with the Texans? McMillan, Higgins, Rice, Tipton, Pearsall, Harrison, Kincaid. Some of that news is good. Some of it not so much. So we'll talk about that. We'll also visit, because it is a Friday, with Russell Clay of FantasyGuru.com. And there are a lot of situations across the land, even though we're in the semifinals week, that are really uncertain in the backfield. And unfortunately, some of you are going to have to make decisions to play lesser players this week because that's just the way it's come down. That's the way injuries and rosters have played out. We'll talk to him in about 25 minutes, Russell, about the backfields. We'll focus specifically on the Saints, Commanders, Packers, Texans, Cowboys, Browns, Cardinals, Steelers, Vikings, and Panthers. So we'll do that with Russ in a few minutes. Again, I'm Ray Flowers of FG. You can find me here Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday on the show. On Wednesdays, it's Justin Fensterman. Next week, here's an update. We got an update. Next week, let me verify this as I look at my calendar. I am correct. Okay. Next week, Christmas is the 25th. Duh, that's Thursday. We will not have a show on Thursday. We will have a show Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. So the only day next week where we won't have a show will be Christmas Day. The Elite Sports Show, I think, is only on Monday and Friday next week on Sirius XM. So that I won't be over there on Wednesday. There's no show on Wednesday. So again, this show will be on 4 days a week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. There we go. So we'll do that. My articles will be out next week as expected. The Coffin Corner piece on Friday, it just went up over at FantasyGuru.com. That'll be up again next week. And then my matchup piece will be up. I'm actually going to try to get my matchup piece up Wednesday night because I think I've said this before. For those of you that have followed me for a long time, you know this. The one day of the year I don't work is Christmas Day. Don't do it. I don't work. I'm out. I'm a family guy that day. I'm not looking at my phone. I'm not doing anything. So I'll try to get my article up and I will get it up on Wednesday night, so you can have that for championship week next week. All right, let's dive into these games and talk about things a little bit here. And before we get into any of the specifics, you can see it there on the screen, and I mentioned earlier, the Colby Parkinson Fiasco. There are times in any fantasy season where players become the hot hand, right? He's a waiver wire guy. Someone gets hurt. Someone's going to start. The pickup is there. We all talk about it, all that kind of stuff. We'll see. I don't remember ever, and I'm being serious about this, and I've done this. I was thinking about this morning. This is my 25th year. I'm moving into my 25th year full-time doing this. I'm doing fantasy part-time since 1996. Some of you probably weren't even born yet. I'm doing this a long time. And I don't ever, searching the old data banks up here, ever remember a fury, fervor, must-get Christmas toy fantasy player in the fantasy playoffs ever in my life having more interest and impact than Parkinson did yesterday for everybody. I don't get it. Okay, I don't get it. I gave my thoughts on Parkinson. Tyler gave his thoughts on Parkinson yesterday in the morning. Jeff Mans gave his thoughts on Parkinson. Did we have Parkinson listed as a tight end one this week at FantasyGuru.com? Yes. Given the landscape of the position, I think you all understand and why that is and all that. 6 touchdowns in 6 games will do that. Devontae Adams was going to miss the game. Okay. I am stunned. I basically, and I'll be honest with everybody, I basically had to leave Discord yesterday because I got so frustrated with Parkinson questions. There was that one period of time where I answered 7 consecutive questions in Discord. They were all Parkinson. I answered about 25 Parkinson questions, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. I'm talking to people. People want to bench Breece Hall. Multiple people benched Travis Kelce. What are we doing? What are we doing? Okay. Jeff specifically went through this on the SiriusXM show yesterday. He went and listed these guys. Name. This guy over him, this guy over him, this guy over him. We have rankings at fantasyguru.com. Why would anyone bench Travis Kelce for Colby Parkinson? Why would you do that? Number one, it doesn't make any sense. Number two, we talked about it on the show. You know, we have the change over to Gardner Minshew, who loves throwing to the tight end. We don't even know if Rashee Rice is going to play. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. Number one, you should all be starting Travis Kelce with the bullet just anyway. But why would you ignore the rankings to play Colby Parkinson? Jeff said it. I said it. Tyler said it. Parkinson's 3 catches for 38 yards, and he better get in the end zone or he didn't get in the end zone. He caught 2 balls for 21 yards, and it was terrible. It was the worst game he has played in 6 weeks. But even so, you look at the previous, or 7 games, excuse me. If you look at the previous 7 games, though, since the bye week, he'd been averaging 12 PPR points a week. Okay, that's good for a tight end position. That's good. And really, you take out the 2 touchdown game last week in week 15, that's 6 games at 9.9 PPR points. He's Juwan Jennings. I'm doing some stretching here. And you can see it here. I mean, look at his targets. 2, 5, 2, 4, 5, 5. Last night, 4. Only one time in 8 games has he had more than 5 targets. And the shocking thing to me is we had this exact player doing this exact same thing early this year. We had Dallas Goedert doing this exact same thing, catching 3 balls for 40 yards and a touchdown every week. And then all of a sudden he didn't get in the end zone. It's like, whoops, now people are dropping Dallas Goedert. Week 7, I get it. I get it. You've got Isaiah Likely. I get it. But this Colby Parkinson stuff yesterday was insane. It was bonkers insane. And I really hope a lot of you didn't fall into it, though. I worry you did, because, again, I answered legitimately 25 Colby Parkinson questions yesterday at fantasyguru.com. He went out and caught 2 balls for 21 yards. Not that you have to play your studs and don't make adjustments. Yeah. But the fervor to get a guy that was going to play against a difficult defense in a difficult stadium in a weather conditions that weren't ideal, stunning. Just absolutely stunning to me. On the plus side for the Rams, Matthew Stafford went nuts. Jeff Mans had him listed as the top 5 quarterback. No one wanted to play him. 457-3. He had a massive game, despite Adams being out, despite the matchup, despite the weather. He just was a baller. And, sometimes it's another reminder. I mean, it's quite likely at this point that Matthew Stafford is going to win the MVP this year. When a guy's on a roll like that, again, everyone's different and all that kind of stuff. I handle my teams differently, and I've talked openly with everybody here. My season has not gone well. I've had injuries. I had Jaden Daniels everywhere. We've gone over my team. It hasn't been a great year. The one team that was great was 12-2 in the Dynasty playoffs, and I boned out there with injuries and everything like that. So, I haven't had a great season. But I've always done the same thing that I've preached here on the show with all of you. Set that depth chart, set your lineup, and go. You make the fantasy playoffs. Why are we changing quarterbacks in the fantasy playoffs? Why are we changing tight ends in the fantasy playoffs? Change kickers and defenses, because who the hell cares? You shouldn't be using them anyway. Okay. But too many people trying to be cute, too many people trying to be smart, and again, I'm not even close to always being right. Jeff Mans is not close to always being right. We make mistakes every week. We make wrong calls every week. But it's the system that we've tried to put in place to help consistently help people, right? Do the same thing, do the right thing, and ultimately you end up with wins. Hopefully everyone did that yesterday. And again, I fear people didn't. People that played Blake Corum got lucky. They got a touchdown. That's great. So he paid off with the touchdown. Kyron Williams touched the ball last night 26 times. So if everyone out there that keeps saying this is a shared backfield, and everyone everywhere is saying it is not a shared backfield. NOT. The only reason they're both getting work is because the Rams have specifically stated, hey, we're going to the playoffs. Hey, we want to keep this guy fresh. The lead back for this team is Kyron Williams. He had 26 touches last night. He ran 4 times as many routes as Corum last night. He played twice as many snaps as Corum last night. He didn't get in the end zone, so it was ultimately it was a disappointing game for Williams. So again, if you played Corum, you were fine. If you played Williams, disappointing. Hard to say you're disappointed when you get 90 yards from scrimmage and touch it 26 times, but he didn't get in the end zone. So it was a disappointing game. I think a lot of people have overlooked the fact that Kyren Williams is a running back 1 this year. It's kind of gotten lost somehow. I'm really confused by that. But a disappointing game overall. In fact, the whole team was really disappointing other than Stafford and Nacua. Puka Nacua goes out there, 12 catches, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns. Absolutely insane level of production for him. Just a phenomenal game. And, this is something to always keep in mind, too, with Matthew Stafford. He has done this for the majority of his career, really, that when the chips are down, and we even see it this year, he's going to 2 guys, going to Adams and Nacua all the time anyway. But when one of the 2 guys is out of the lineup, the other guy is getting peppered with targets. And we saw 16 of them go to Nacua last night in that massive game that he had for the Rams. You could see it there with Manny. He said the game in OT was a backbreaker for me since my opponent had JSN and Nacua. Going to the Seattle side, Seattle did win this football game 38-37 in OT. This was, let me see, I think it was the first time in 172 games. Was that it? I had a number somewhere. First time in 107. I think it was the first time in 172 games, if I remember correctly, that the Seahawks have been down 15 points in the third quarter of a game and won. They're like 1 in 172. To Manny's point, I mean, at halftime, Jack Smith-Njigba didn't have a catch. None. Finished with 8 catches, 96 yards, and a touchdown. I feel bad. I mean, Manny, obviously you're in a bad spot facing Nacua and JSN anyway. But those 2 guys, 20 catches, 300-plus yards, 3 touchdowns. I feel for you, Manny. That is yeesh. In the case of Mike, and Mike had the opposite. When JSN scored that game-winning touchdown on the 4-yard pass from Darnold, Mike won money. Won $1,000. Mike, congratulations, Mike. Big cash there. Nice. $1,000 parlay. Way to go, Mike. So, yeah, that's the nature. I talked about it on this show. I won my matchup. What league was it in? Oh, it was in the Dynasty League we were talking about. I won my matchup in that to go to 12-2. I thought I was going to fall to 11-3 because in overtime, Dallas Goedert had a couple of catches. So sometimes overtime giveth, sometimes it taketh away. But at the bottom line is Jackson Smith-Njigba was fine, as he always is. He's on his way to winning all the awards for, obviously, wide receiver this season. No one else did anything. Jackson Smith-Njigba caught 8 balls. Cooper Kupp caught 3. That's it. You play an overtime game where you score 38 points, and it's another one of these games where 11 passes were completed to wide receivers. Oh, by the way, on the other side, I didn't say this. For the 3rd consecutive game, the Rams set an all-time NFL record for most snaps run in a game in 13 personnel. 13 personnel is 3 tight ends. They've set an NFL record 3 consecutive weeks. 57 plays with 3 tight ends on the field last night. I don't even think Seattle ran 57 plays last night. They ran 65. What was it? 64 plays. No, 68. They did. But think about 57 plays with 3 tight ends. Anyway, on the Seattle side, it was all JSN as a pass catcher, as it often is. Barner got in the end zone, caught 4 balls, 49 yards, so that was okay. All right, that worked if you played him. If you played him, he was way better than Colby Parkinson. Jeez. And you see that here, Eric. Thank you, Kenneth Walker. Where has that been this year? And this is bad. We say all the time, be patience and stick with things. And we have said all season long, every week, I think, play Walker over Charbonnet, all that kind of stuff. In the last couple of weeks, Walker's continued to drop in the rankings because he just hasn't done anything. Despite everything we saw in the offseason, despite his skill set, he's not used at the goal line. He's not given a ton of carries. They don't often run a bunch of plays. So I don't know how many people played Walker, even if they had him on their team last night. But he went nuts. 11 carries for 100 yards and a touchdown. He also caught 3 balls for another 64 yards. He had a fantastic game. 164 yards from scrimmage, a touchdown. That's what he could have been doing all year long if they gave him opportunities, and for whatever reason they haven't. But he had a huge game. Huge game. By the way, Mike said he's put $60 bet down and won $1,000. That's good return, Mike. Good return, Mike. There it is if people want to see what it was. Congratulations, Mike. That's something to be proud of. Now you can buy a bunch of gifts for the holiday season or buy yourself something nice. Maybe you don't have others that deserve it. Maybe they deserve coal and you deserve a new TV. Good luck. Congratulations there again, Mike. On the Seattle side of things, though, Charbonnet had his touchdown. He didn't do anything. 32 yards on the ground, but got in the end zone. He caught 4 passes, which is actually a high number for him, only 22 yards. So again, he didn't do anything, 50 yards from scrimmage and a touchdown. So he continues to do the Blake Corum. Very interesting, these two teams, right? There's a clear number one back. There's a clear better back, but the backup guys keep scoring touchdowns, even though they're not doing much other than scoring touchdowns, which is a pretty big deal. So that's our view of the game. We'll come back on Monday. Obviously, we'll be here. Don't forget, Philadelphia, Washington, Green Bay, and Chicago play Saturday. So make sure you get your lineup set for that. The NFL, as we've discussed a lot, I don't agree with it. I've never agreed with it, but they want to dominate the calendar. They want to dominate, and I mean 365 days a year, every day of the calendar. They shouldn't be playing games on Saturday. I understand that's the tradition with college done and everything. But anyway, the 2 games on Saturday, keep that in mind. Next week, the schedule is totally different. We got 3 games, I think, on Christmas Day. At least Christmas is Thursday this year and not Wednesday like last year when they asininely made up a word. Played on Wednesday, but make sure you get those lineups set. We'll be helping people over in Discord at fantasyguru.com to answer the questions that they might have. Oh, yeah, and Manny, you got that weird 2-point conversion. Yeah, that Charbonnet had that no one knew was a live ball. I don't know. Some weird things going on in the NFL. That's definitely been the case here down the stretch. We're about 10 or so minutes away from talking backfields in more depth with Russell Clay because there's a lot of scenarios which are up in the air. Let's talk about a couple ourselves here before we dive into some of the wide receiver stuff. Josh Jacobs is being listed as questionable to play with that knee injury. We just don't know at this point. My guess is that he plays. I mean, this is a very important game against the Bears, and I think he gives it a go. He's been toughing it out is the right way to say it. He's played through injuries, Josh Jacobs, and I think he will continue to play through the injury this week. We shall see. Let's hope we get definitive clarification there. Though again, in the case with Jacobs, we don't know. He could, might be 3 snaps in the game, might be 3 touches. We don't know. If I had Jacobs, I'm playing him. I have Jacobs in a league that I'm still playing. He's in my lineup, so that's how I'm doing it. But yeah, keep a close eye there. Emmanuel Wilson is not on the injury report this week, which is a good news. If Jacobs is active, you can't use Emmanuel Wilson. At least I mean, you're in the playoffs. You can't be doing that. But keep an eye on that. Jacobs, again, active in your lineup. He is for me. This next one, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Texans with Russell here in a few minutes, but Woody Marks was supposed to be okay. We heard that after the game. His ankle injury wasn't significant. He was going to be okay. Didn't practice on Wednesday. Okay, they're just giving him a day off. Didn't practice on Thursday. Now the concern's going up a little bit. He could still get out there on Friday. Again, it's 9:15 Friday morning here on the West Coast. He could still get out there today and everything could be fine. But that's a significant storyline to follow because, 2 missed practices. Oh, here we go. Got an update here 15 minutes ago. Jonathan Alexander said that Marks was seen at practice with a helmet. Okay, so hopefully he'll get a limited sign today, which would be good news. Let's wait for the further definitive on that. But right now, keep an eye on that today. We did also see that Nick Chubb is back to practicing with the rib issue. So those people that picked up Jawar Jordan, looks like you're getting nothing out of that. Chubb is now looking like he's going to play. And, with the situation with Marks, he continually gets hurt. We talk about it. He continually goes out of games. We talk about it. You're still playing Marks of these 3 guys. If everyone's active, everyone's on the field. You're still playing Marks. You're still looking at a guy who, has got a fair bet to get 15 plus touches. You have to remember that this is a game against the Raiders, and they're very likely to be ahead against the Raiders. Running the ball a lot in the second half is probably what the game flow is going to lead to. Marks doesn't do much on a per touch basis, so he really needs those 20 touches to give those fantasy points. You know the drill here, but we'll get a lot of clarity on that today. Big news with the Bears, and this is at least giving us some early week confirmation because again, play tomorrow. Luther Burden with the ankle is out. Rome Odunze with the foot is out. Both Swift and Kmet are listed as questionable. I would expect both to play. Obviously, we know Monungai and Loveland would see huge increases in work, in looks, in touches if those 2 guys were to miss the game. Again, my expectation is that Swift is playing. Kmet, we'll see. I'm not as certain with Kmet, but we'll continue to follow that storyline. The big winner here, though, is Loveland anyway, who's going to see more, you would think, more involvement with the two top pass catchers there out of the lineup this week for the Bears. Obviously, DJ Moore. Duh. But also Colson Loveland. And if Cole Kmet is out, Colson Loveland becomes very intriguing. Right now, he's intriguing. Okay. We'll look with Olamide Zaccheaus and DJ Moore out wide. Zaccheaus, again, we're in the fantasy playoffs. You want to use a cheap throw in DFS in seasonal? I don't know how you play Zaccheaus. You could. Hey, look. Yeah, you never know. Maybe you've got all these other guys. Maybe London doesn't play. Maybe Rice doesn't play. Okay. But Zaccheaus is really 5 catch, 50 yards top end, right? They're just, at least in the case of DJ Moore, there's explosiveness. There's the ability to go 50, 70 yards. He's involved in the rushing game a lot. You get the point there, hopefully, with the Bears. With the Panthers, we were very nervous yesterday on the show when Tetairoa McMillan, with that foot ankle injury, didn't practice. Well, he did practice on Thursday. Really good news. Being listed as a full participant in Thursday, that being the case, it's almost certain that Tetairoa McMillan will play this week for the Panthers. So, this is a matchup where they play against, it's the Bucs, right? Am I losing my mind here? Why is that? I'm thinking that as I'm sitting here, and it's Tampa Bay. Duh. Okay, Tampa Bay. It's early Sunday morning, so we'll have the start sits out. Actives and actives, out early. Tetairoa McMillan is the better start over Jalen Coker. Coker is a desperation flex option, despite 460 and a touchdown the last 2 games. Okay. McMillan's the bottom level wide receiver 2. He's wide receiver 24 this week. I'm making a number up. So it'll be something like that. Coker will be wide receiver 38, 42. So be very cautious. Pump the brakes, if you will, on the Coker stuff. If that's the direction you were going in, you grabbed him off the waiver wire, you're going to start him. He's a passable flex option in a 3 wide receiver league. Passable flex options in 3 wide receiver leagues in the semifinals and playoffs, not ideal. T. Higgins. Now, this is an interesting story, and I will admit I didn't do more digging yesterday because, again, to me, we need Friday reports for this practice, this health stuff, to really have an idea of what we're going to do here with these players. T. Higgins, dealing with the head injury, was seen at practice, showing up with the helmet for the last minute of practice. Huh? I could show up here at 9:58 Pacific time on a Friday and say I did a Friday show, do a show for 2 minutes. What about the first 58 minutes? I don't know what's going on with Higgins. I think we're moving in the direction of him being active this week for the Bengals. I would say at this point he's going to play. We'll get further updates today on Friday. We'll get real clarity. Remember, multiple head injuries here, close proximity to one another as well. We'll need to see him out on the field on Friday. I expect we'll get a lot of clarity with him later on today. Rashee Rice didn't practice. He's also got a head injury. I think at this point, barring something really unexpected, he's not playing this week. So that will obviously move up. And Tyquan Thornton, by the way, he's also dealing with a head injury. I don't expect him to play. So the deep threat is gone. The underneath guy is gone in Rice. Marquise Brown, is he playing this week? I assume he is. Stuff going on off the field with him, I don't know. We talked earlier about Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, fire him up. He could get double-digit targets this week. Tyler Beaker made that statement yesterday on the show as well, which I concur with. Xavier Worthy and he are probably the 2 main beneficiaries here. Worthy, of course, has had a disappointing season. He is let's manufacture touches for him, and maybe they do some trickeration here because Mahomes is out. Minshew can spread the ball around, but he obviously is a full tier, if not 2, below Gardner Minshew's below Patrick Mahomes. So maybe there'll be some trickeration, some handoffs, some flips, that kind of thing. Screen game will probably pick up heavily in this game with Minshew. So not Worthy and Worthy and Kelce I'm in on. The rest of these group of catchers, like Juju Smith-Schuster, you can't. Noah Gray, you can't. Again, Marquise Brown, desperation. He did practice on full this week, so it looks like he's going to play this week after dealing with some personal stuff. But I'm not doing that unless I have no choice, and hopefully you have choices. Mason Tipton didn't practice on Thursday. Who cares? Well, you should care because Devon Bailey has been ruled out of this game with his shoulder injury. So the Saints now have Tipton as their wide receiver 2. We've spent a lot of time talking about the backfield with the Saints, and we'll do it in here in a few minutes with Russell Clay. Pay attention to what's going on with the receiving core. Bailey is out. Tipton's dealing with an injury now. Their Palmer's on the IR. Polk's on the IR. Means is on the IR. We're looking at potentially Chris Olave, Dante Pettis, and Kevin Austin. So Tipton, he would be the wide receiver 2. He's certainly been the wide receiver 2-3 here for the last month. He, Vele, and Olave playing all the snaps. Tipton, routinely sees 2-3 targets. He's not doing anything, and I wouldn't want to play him anyway. It's not like, oh, he's too wide out this week. He's going to catch 5 passes for 75 yards like Vele was doing. I wouldn't be there, but it is a significant downgrade for the entire offense. Remember, Devin Neal's been placed on the IR. We still don't know officially with Kamara, but he's not playing this week. This offense is I've seen a lot of people wanting to play Tyler Shuck. I've gotten his name probably in 5 questions this week, even in Superflex leagues. Dicey. That's a dicey one, if you ask me. Ricky Pearsall didn't practice yesterday. There's a possibility he plays this week. This dude's made out of tissue paper. I'm a Niners fan. I'm born and raised in the Bay Area. Everyone knows that, I think. I'm pretty honest about that. Ricky Pearsall has had a golden opportunity, much like Trey Benson, to step forward this year and really solidify his role as a starting NFL player, potential star-level starting NFL player. Benson didn't even get on the field, so at least Pearsall got on the field, but Pearsall can't stay on the damn field. He's got the knee, he's got the ankle. He's doing better than he was on Monday. There's a possibility he plays. Like, even if Pearsall is out there, can you? If the game's Monday night, too. So right now, you're asking me, anyone ask me a question with Ricky Pearsall, the answer is no. Later today, if we get positive news of Ricky Pearsall, he's at practice, he's feeling much better. Game's still Monday. It's still a dude I don't trust. The answer's still going to be, I don't think so. So we should all be out on Ricky Pearsall this week. Despite the 696 last week, despite the hopes this week, I can't make a strong argument to have Ricky Pearsall in your lineup this week unless you're just straight up desperate. And even if you are, with the game being on Monday, what's your pivot going to be? You going to go pick up DeMarcus Robinson if he doesn't play? Yeah, Ricky Pearsall, I think he's out this week. Marvin Harrison's got the heel injury. Second day in a row he's practiced, so this is good. We haven't gotten official he's playing this weekend, but it's very, very likely Marvin Harrison is going to be active this week. That will lower the ceiling of both McBride and Wilson. You're still starting McBride without question. You're still starting Wilson without question. But the return of Harrison, it does drop Wilson and Harrison to, wide receiver 25 to 35 kind of zone. Good for the offense, diversification, all of that. But yeah, I think one of the biggest things we've seen with Wilson in particular is, he's getting 10, 11, 12, 15, 18, these massive target numbers. He's going to get 8 to 10 targets with Harrison, right? That's just the ceiling. It's probably 8 targets for him. It's probably 8 targets for Harrison. It's probably 10 targets for McBride. Though again, Brissett throws the ball 40 times every week. So maybe there's a little bit more there, but good for the offense, good for Harrison owners, little bit of a ding for Wilson and McBride. And then finally, Dalton Kincaid. Got a good report this morning on Dalton Kincaid. Their head coach said it came out. The team said Dalton Kincaid is trending toward playing against the Browns, which is good news. He's dealing with a knee injury. Not something that I would have felt great about a couple days ago, right? But no, he's trending toward playing this week against the Browns. Good news there. They're another team that, whether it's Haas getting the random touchdown or Knox getting the touchdown, we know that tight end is a part of the offense with the Bills because they can't consistently establish anybody from the wide receiver ranks with that team. So don't forget, you can go to fantasyguru.com right now before we talk to Russell Clay in a few minutes. fantasyguru.com right now. $49.99 the rest of the way. All of our football coverage, one price. The only thing you don't get with that is the Super Bowl betting guide. You get access to every type of Discord room, all the rankings, all the projections, all the live streams, all the podcasts, all the articles, rankings, everything. College football, pro football, all of it for DFS, betting, and seasonal. Got you covered. Soup to nuts, as they say. So click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. Get signed up. You can always send an email if you have any questions about the product to support@fantasyguru.com, support@fantasyguru.com. If you want to do something besides football, hey, why not? Get involved with our MVP plan. That's everything besides football and baseball. So that's NASCAR, PGA, MMA, horse racing, basketball, hockey. I'm leaving some things out. That's the MVP plan. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. And then finally, it's gift card season, folks. Gift cards are available at fantasyguru.com. Give yourself the gift card. Give the gift card to somebody else. In the description below, you can see that we'll give you free money when you sign up. It's pretty nice, right? You sign up with us over at fantasyguru.com. We give you a little bit of a bonus. $25, we give you 10. $50 gift card, we give you 15. $100 gift card, we give you 25. $200 gift card, we give you 50. So sign up over at fantasyguru.com for those gift cards. You can give them as gifts. You can keep them for yourself. Either way, it's basically free money to be applied to any of the products at fantasyguru.com. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. All right. It's Friday. Every Friday we talk to my man, Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com. He is our dynasty guy. He does his updated dynasty rankings every Wednesday. He also does his little video on TikTok with everybody, so you can have a discussion with him as he's updating those rankings for dynasty at fantasyguru.com. He's often on the live stream on Tuesday nights. He's part of the college product over at fantasyguru.com, though, of course, that's a little bit of a hiatus as the games kind of dwindle a little bit as we head into bowl season. But he's involved over there, and he's involved with us every Friday here on the show. Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com. How you doing, Russ?
What's up, Ray?
There we go. I had to get you the right size, Russ. I didn't want to diminish you and make you little because
that's the Colin Coward, right? Have the big chair, be sitting up very tall, and then have the guest way down there.
Right?
Move.
I don't know. I'm looking at Twitter right now. Twitter's down. Oh my God. Oh, Twitter's back. Whew. Got a little nervous there. I was having problems with Twitter. I thought my life was going to end. You know, isn't it funny when it goes down, like whether it's Twitter or your email or whatever, and like panic in the streets, or is that just me?
I wouldn't say panic in the streets. It's more of a, oh yeah, this isn't actually that important.
I think, oh shit, it is that important, which I should have your attitude, because you're right. It's really not. We could talk to you about a lot of things. We've done that over the course of the year. We've talked dynasty, we've talked keeper leagues, we talk storylines. Sometimes we talk injuries. I wanted to focus on the running back position specifically for the semifinals week 16, because there are a lot of scenarios across the land, which unfortunately we would both like to say, stay the hell away from that. But there's scenarios where people might have no choice but to be involved in that. So let's go through some of these storylines. Let's talk Saints first here.
Yeah.
Neal is out. Kamara is not officially out, but he's not playing. So we're down to Estime and Hull. Estime is the one who we've had higher in the rankings. We heard positive news from the team. Estime is the guy that's more likely to lead the way here. Are we going Estime or Hull in any scenario? What are you seeing here with this Saints backfield?
I do not want to play Audric Estime unless I'm forced to. With that said, we get volume and it is a viable play. So Audric Estime, the running back that got cut from Denver, is now starting in New Orleans. If you haven't caught any of the news, which I'm sure you have, I don't want it. I don't want it, Ray. I don't want it. It's like eating my peas. I do think you could get there at volume. Actually, I like peas. Shout out to peas.
Okay, nice. Okay, I don't mind peas. I don't mind peas either.
So we don't like that saying. But man, it's really tough to get on board because we just don't know what it's going to look like, right? I do like Tyler Shugg. I do like some parts of that offense, though.
Yeah, I've said the same thing. My answer, which guy to play, is no. Right? It's like Estime is the right call, but please, I hope we're talking about third, fourth receiver on this team. The wide receiver core is beat up. The offense is not overly. The defense is playing good of late. They're playing some good football, actually. So shout out to the Saints, but no, not something we want to do there. What about in the backfield? This is an area where we had Chris Rodriguez surging. He was ready to go take over the backfield, make his moment of the season against the Giants. Gets hurt, doesn't play. JCM goes out, smashes the Giants. Duh, everyone smashes the Giants on the ground. Now we're hearing that Rodriguez is going to play this week. So is Rodriguez still the leader now? Is it who cares? Because they also use McNichols. Like, is there an answer here with the Commanders you feel comfortable with?
It's always who cares for me this year with the Commanders. I've been out on McLaurin. I've been out on JCM. I've been out on Rodriguez. I was a big Jaden guy, and he fell apart literally this year. And after that's happened, I've just ignored that. I've grayed out this offense and I've not looked at them again. I know a lot of people got invested in Bill early in the season. Against the Eagles, that just feels like a high degree of difficulty play there. So I get it. He is coming off a good week, but I don't think the Eagles are the team where you can string together another big game, you know?
I do know. Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com. This is different. Josh Jacobs scores a touchdown every week. Josh Jacobs is a running back 1. I said earlier, my thoughts on the backfield are that I believe Jacobs is going to play through his leg injury. If I have him, I'm starting him. That means I'm not starting Emmanuel Wilson anywhere. That's my read today. Obviously, things could change. We know that Jacobs is in and out of the lineup. He's constantly on the sideline holding his leg. He's working through this. How are you handling the Packers backfield this week against the Bears?
Starting Jacobs and praying, right? I mean, that's what we did last week. He had 2 touchdowns on 7 touches, and it was one of those where we were through 3 quarters. He has 7 touches, and we're an RB1 on the week. So I like it. I'm going to keep playing Jacobs if I have him, but it's certainly not comfortable.
We're going to be whores. Are you okay being a whore, Russ?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, let's do it. Manny, coming through yet again. Manny, happy holidays to you. Thank you for the $5 donation. Really appreciate that, Manny. Yeah, being a whore, it's our joke here on the show. If you pay money, we answer your question. We try to answer everyone's question anyway, but if you pay money, we're getting to it right the way. We're just stopping what we're doing to answer your question.
That's right.
Yes. Manny's currently running out Stephon Diggs. Would you swap him out in a half-point PPR league for Michael Pittman or Aaron Jones? I said on the show yesterday that you have to keep an eye on the offensive line of the Vikings because left guard, right guard, and center, all various levels of uncertainty to play. That's a significant hit to the offensive line if even 2 of those guys miss things. In the case of Pittman, we got one of the better producers in the first half of the season, but it's not the same offense anymore. You got Phillip Rivers. In theory, Phillip Rivers should be able to get the ball to Pittman, and he did for a little bit last week and then just stopped doing it. And then we've got Diggs, who, he's in my coffin corner piece over at fantasyguru.com. Stephon Diggs has never had a lower yards per game mark than he does this season, which is, even his rookie year, he was better than he is this year. But he's still a guy that's catching 4 or 5 passes a week. So Diggs, Pittman, Jones, what are we doing for Manny?
Manny, that's a rough trio, my friend. I would probably play Pittman just purely because of the role he's in that offense, but it's 44-year-old Phillip Rivers. So Aaron Jones is in this stage of his career we see so often with the running backs when they get to their 30s, where he still has the juice of what made him a good fantasy running back, but he doesn't have the role anymore. So he's in this 60 to 70 yard range every week, doesn't get any goal line work, and doesn't seem to get over 12 points ever. So not in a great spot. So I'd play Pittman for the upside, but all three are.
To bring this around, Jones and the Vikings do play the Giants. We just talked about it with the Commanders.
Sure.
The Giants are allowing 5.9 yards a carry the last month and a half. They've allowed the most receptions to the running back position the last month and a half, even though they played 1 fewer game than a bunch of teams because they had a bye week late. He's listed as the top 20 running back at Fantasy Guru. I'm kind of leading Aaron Jones because of that matchup. I don't disagree with your assessment of Jones, and I think this is more of the, hey, if JCM can do it. I mean, the Giants they're just not good against the run. And I agree with you. There's not an obvious answer. I don't discount what you said. I'm going to say Jones, which confuses Manny, I know. But you're not going to that well, just too much of a concern with the offense, with the quarterback play, and with that inconsistency with Jones?
No.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I know. It's totally fine. So there you go, Manny. Thank you for your time. Hopefully one of us made a compelling case for you. Let's go back to the backfields. Russell Clay of fantasyguru.com joins us every Friday. I almost called you Tyler. Sorry about that. Texans. Woody Marks should play. Nick Chubb should play. What are we doing with this backfield?
The Woody Marks thing is tough because he's been hurt for a while. Last week they were playing the Cardinals, so he got that touchdown and he basically didn't come back. Tyler Beaker told me earlier in the week that D'Amico Ryans mentioned he could have come back in that game. So the problem is, are we in the same situation with the Raiders this week where he plays a few snaps early and it's clear they're going to win, and then they just roll without him? So it's a messy situation. Marks has been getting volume all year. Will he continue to get it in these blowout matchups? Unclear.
Cowboys, Javonte Williams, I think at this point, it's fair to say he's going to play. And we could be surprised on Friday and maybe your Saturday. Right? He had like 15 touches last week on like 20 snaps. Like, it's impossible, right? He didn't play in the second half much. Are you starting him with confidence if he's active? And if randomly he's not active, is Malik Davis, or is hey, and I jokingly said this earlier, is Jaden Blue going to make an appearance in week 16? Like, is it finally going to happen? We saw Kenneth Walker last night finally do it. Like, what are we doing with Williams if he's active, and what are we doing with the Cowboys backfield if he's not active?
Yeah, we saw Javonte get to his 15 touches last week, but like you mentioned, Malik Davis was taking over there. No receiving work for Javonte. They're really giving us a tough test this week with these injuries, the lack of clarity in some of these situations and how we're navigating them. Of course, you've been starting Javonte Williams every week, and he's been an RB1, mid-tier RB1 this season. So I don't know that there's a great answer here, but yeah, keep an eye on Malik Davis. He actually looked really good.
Browns. I put Browns because I was just using the team thing here. This is really Quinshon Judkins' question, because Sampson, I don't even know he's going to play, and Ford's gone, and Judkins, should be getting 18 touches a week, which he has done for most of the weeks. Hasn't done much anything, and it's been a while since he hasn't done much anything. And there's been some blocking issues. There's been some health on the offensive line. There's been sporadic quarterback play. Like, there's a lot of reasons for this. But where are we at with Quinshon Judkins? Because he faces the Bills this week, and the one thing you can do against the Bills is run. On the opposite side of that is if the Bills put up 30 points, how much running are you going to do, right? So can the defense, I think this really comes down to, can the Browns defense do enough to slow down the Bills offense that the Browns will do what they need to do to beat the Bills, which actually run the football?
So I don't think it's a coincidence that Judkins has been below 2 yards per carry the last two games in these Shedeur Sanders starts. Now, in that Titans game, Sanders was able to push the ball down the field. But why was that? Because teams were locked in. The Titans were locked in. First 5 yards of the offense here. And we saw Chicago successfully do this last week. So the Browns offense is cratering. Weirdly enough, Judkins has been above 90 yards in 2 of the last 3 weeks, or 80 yards. Sorry, 80 yards. But is that good for fantasy when you only have a couple catches and no touchdowns? Last week was brutal. There's just no room. Does this open up this week against the Bills? You would think so. They've been a target for us in the second half of the year, and that's been very successful. Look at what Travion did just a week ago. Yep. But, man, are they able to just put 11 guys in the box against this Browns offense? So, tough game to really decipher, but I've been playing Judkins most weeks. If you have a better RB2, go for it.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. I mentioned earlier the fact that it looks like Marvin Harrison is going to return for the Cardinals this week. That'll be Harrison, Wilson, and McBride soaking up their chunk of the 40 passes that Brissett throws every week. What about Michael Carter? Is he flex option this week? You have any confidence there? DeMarcado returned from injury and really didn't even see the field last week. Was that only because it was his first game back from injury? Is that going to change? DeMarcado had been very successful prior to being hurt, but we saw 18 touches last week, I believe, from Michael Carter.
So the reason I like the Cardinals in this game is because their defense is truly putrid, truly just not professional level. And they've even on the broadcasts the last 2 weeks, they've been admitting, we've been talking to the coaches and they're wondering what's up with the defenses. And they just said, it's tough to have the personnel to make this happen right now. AKA we don't have NFL players playing right now. And it's crazy to hear those types of statements be made, but then you watch these games and when it's not blowout scenarios, that first and second quarter, I mean, we're seeing 10 yards per play, 10 to 20 to 30, where Nico Collins, could have had 300 yards in that game if they didn't call off the dogs. And then 2 weeks ago, we saw Puka and Devontae Adams just absolutely destroy them. So I think Kirk Cousins is going to get off in this game, and that's going to just make the game flow for Carter. Even if he doesn't have a great day initially, I do think he's going to get enough volume, even with DeMarcado there. So I love this game, playing the over and just, keep rolling with it.
What about the Steelers backfield? Everyone in fantasy, not everyone, most people in fantasy have tried to replace Najee Harris for years with Jaylen Warren. Well, Jaylen Warren's getting a shot this year, and he ain't doing nothing. He's not doing anything. Maybe he's injured or he's not doing anything. Kenneth Gainwell's caught 6 passes in 4 of 5 games, Russ. Who are you starting out of these two guys? Would you rather start Warren or Gainwell this week?
It's a tough one. Gainwell is the better fantasy option right now, and he's taken on these third down duties and this receiving duties, leaving Jaylen Warren, who might be hurt, might not be, but I know Aaron Rodgers likes Gainwell. He loves the underdog story, and Gainwell was sort of an afterthought that they picked up. I saw him talking about that a few weeks ago. He's just a big part of this offense. This is the Arthur Smith thing. We had Cordero Patterson when we had Bijan Robinson a few years ago, and that was a problem. And Gainwell's a problem for Warren. So this is the circle of life, and it will continue.
Final one. What about the Panthers? They're facing Tampa Bay this week, and the Bucs have allowed 4.8 yards to carry the last 6 games. 10th most points to the running back position. We basically come up with a scenario where it's Rico Dowdle on first and second down, not doing much, but getting all the early down work. Hubbard has looked a little more explosive, but he's basically become the third down back. Either one of these guys against the Buccaneers tickle your fancy at all, Russ? That guy said that?
Yeah.
Got a little perverted here on a Friday. Sorry.
You would think this game would be really good for fantasy purposes, but then you look at this and these are basically the Tyler Shug's sons and children right here. Tyler Shug taking over that division late in the season. I don't know what to expect from either of these teams. Baker Mayfield has stunk since he hurt his shoulder. And this Panthers offense was able to have a nice rushing offense in that first couple drives against the Saints. And then it completely dried up. So they've been able to run the ball most of the season, but this Dowdle Hubbard thing is not what we want. We want one guy, and we're getting both, like you mentioned. So you can play Dowdle as an RB2, but it could not be fun.
Let's talk about that game a little bit more. Daddy Dowg. Bucky Irving or Trevion Henderson? Like, and again, this is, hey, we're in the playoffs. Some of these teams are really good because the answer is to this question is both should be starting. But if you had to make a call between these two youngsters, do you go with the more explosive Henderson? Do you go with the guy in Irving who could see more work and have more involvement as a pass catcher? Henderson, Irving, what are we doing in week 17 or 16? Excuse me.
I would just go with Henderson. The risk of him having a big play is very high at this point. 5.4 yards per carry this year. He was the clear starter over Stevenson last week, and I think it's locked in for the rest of this year. We need both, Daddy. That's the real answer. You got to bully someone else out of your lineup here because Bucky Irving is, the goal line work is the real question here.
Yeah, Tucker.
Sean Tucker's been the goal line back since Irving has come back. So that chips away at some of that upside. You'd basically need a 20-yard rushing touchdown from Irving to get that touchdown right now. So I love Sean Tucker, so I'm not going to be too hard on it, but it is unfortunate for us, Bucky. Sit Javonte over Irving and Henderson. I would think about it. You're in a great spot. You have 3 RB1s, Daddy. So shout out to you.
Yeah, Tucker's playing like 8 snaps and getting a touchdown. That's fun. The old touchdown steal to the vulture at the goal line. Brad's got a question. Tony Pollard, where did this come from? Last 2 weeks, 100 yards, rushing touchdown, both games. He's got a matchup this week against the Chiefs. The Chiefs are, the season's over. Mahomes is done and all that kind of stuff. But I don't anticipate this team going the Raiders. Like, I don't think they're going to give up and roll over. I think they're going to come out and try to put a whooping on Tennessee this week. Not an easy team to run against the Chiefs anyway. So Pollard, Hunt, DeMarcado, Bedell, and Estime. He's already playing Hampton. So I don't know if you'd want to go teammates there with the Chargers because Bedell's still getting 13, 15 touches here the last couple of weeks. Can't play Kareem Hunt. Can't play DeMarcado. So it's really down to Pollard, Bedell, or Estime.
Tony Pollard. He's alive. This is the worst matchup after a string of slightly easier matchups. So I would go with Pollard. I can't believe I'm saying that, honestly. It's shocking to me, Brad, but Brad's probably just as shocked as I am. But Pollard's been playing amazing, and they've clearly figured something out with this running game the last 2 weeks. San Francisco's no slouch. They're not great, but they're no slouch. And Cleveland, of course, is, he's been over 6 yards per carry the last 3 games. So they've obviously figured something out offensive line wise that's working. So it's gross, but it's been gross the last 2 weeks. And if you did it, it really paid off. You just have to imagine the Chiefs are going to try to slow this game down. So, but yeah, I'd go Pollard.
Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. The dog has another question. And this one is interesting, not because of the actual question. For me, I have to play Lamar Jackson over Jared Goff. I just do. And I know Goff has been the more consistent guy without question. It's not close. But the question really to me, you can answer that directly. And then the secondary part that I'd like to hit on too, Russ, is my opponent has Amon-Ra St. Brown. So how much of the decision do you make is based upon your opponent, right? Because we talk a lot of times, look at your opponent. Do you need 10 points or do you need 20 points? Like, what do you anticipate you need? And you can make a different decision like in your flex option based upon your expected need, right, for the matchup. But then you'll hear other people that do this blocking, riding the coattails thing. Would you do that here? Would you start Jackson or Goff? And if it's Jackson, would you go Goff because the other team has Amon-Ra St. Brown?
I get it. I've done it before. I've not done it before. I ultimately feel like playing against someone else's lineup, unless there's a clear hedge where you're up 35, the guy has Amon-Ra and you just throw Goff in there just in case to sort of nullify it. But beginning of the week, I would just go with Lamar here. I agree with Ray, and we just roll with it. And hope for the best, I guess. But he showed some signs lately where it's like, okay, Lamar might be not back, but last 2 weeks he's been pretty good.
IC9825's got a flex question here. We just talked about Jalen Warren, so a little bit more on him. We talked about Woody Marks. Okay. And then we got DJ Moore, who I talked about earlier before you showed up, obviously, with Burden being out, with Odunze being out. So which of these three are we flexing? Moore, Warren, or Marks? And this is also a standard league. So we have to factor that into our answer here, Russ.
Standard league. I'm going to go with DJ Moore. But we know the sweat there, I see. We know the deal with DJ Moore. We know DJ Moore's been with us for a long time. He is not the DJ Moore from Carolina either. So we know he likes to disappear and go behind the curtain and not reappear for our fantasy team sometimes. So we know what's going on there. I do imagine he will be a big part of that offense with Noah Odunze and Burden, though. I mean, those are huge parts of that offense.
David P. asked a question. Merry Christmas to Ray and Russ. PPR setup.
David.
Yeah, thank you, David. PPR setup. We need three of the following group of players. Pittman, who you talked about earlier. Christian Watson, who somehow is going to play, even though it looked like he was shot last game. Deebo Samuel and Ashton Genty. Like, the answer always wants to be Genty, right? We've talked about him a lot, but that offense, I mean, they didn't even get to 100 yards last week. And it's like, they should get Geno Smith back, which I think a lot of people underestimated sorry, I'm petting my puppy who came in the room. Geno Smith return. I mean, Genty's catching 5 or 6 passes frequently from Geno Smith. That's a nice little boost there if that indeed comes to fruition. Pittman, Watson, Deebo, Genty, we need 3. So who's out?
Oh. The one good thing about this Texans team is they're starting to win by a lot. And we saw this with the Cardinals last week where they win by a lot. And then you're saying it's Jacoby Brissett versus the Houston Texans. But it's Jacoby Brissett versus we're up 4 possessions. We're just kind of getting through this. And we're subbing out some guys. So if we can get there with the Raiders and get the Texans up 3 possessions in the second half, there might be some Genty time. And Ray, we've been bailed out a few times this year with Genty big games. Not the last 2 weeks, though. There's just been nothing. So if you play Genty, which I would here, I'm hoping for that fourth quarter. And it's not fun to do. We don't want to do that, but that's kind of where we're at with him. So I would think about Genty and Pittman. I don't know about the Watson thing, Ray. I'm curious what you think there. Of course, I want to play Christian Watson if he's healthy, but
yeah,
like he's an every week starter if healthy. But
from weeks 9 to 13, that's a 5-game stretch. Genty had 5 catches, 3 catches, 6 catches, 8 catches, 6 catches. That's a 5-week period of time where he's averaging 5.6 catches.
Yeah,
like that's a significant. I mean, Pittman may not catch 5 passes. Watson may not catch 5 passes. Deebo may not. It's a significant thing to think about. Watson. I mean, again. I talked about this on Monday. I thought he was dead. Like that was borderline. We're going to have to amputate his arm. I mean, that looked terrible, right? And it was weird because it was just, he fell over on a play where he tried to catch a pass. It wasn't even the ground. And I've seen video of him this week. He looks fine. He's running around catching. It looks like, so I don't know what he and Woody Marks should have a discussion about acting like you're really hurt when you're really not hurt.
Woody Marks is a great call. He gets up slow every time, just like his leg's gonna get amputated, and then he's back in. So who knows?
It's like, you're not Nick Chubb. You haven't taken 37,000 hits in your life, kid. Come on, get up. I think right now I'm looking at the rankings. We've got Watson as wide receiver 30. I think that's fair. I look at him as a wide receiver 3, a couple spots ahead of Deebo Samuel. I think it's fair.
Yep.
And while Deebo is an explosive player in his own right, it's a different explosiveness with Watson. You talked about this, I think, last week on the show. It's just a different level. So, yeah, I think that Debo's the guy that's out for me. I don't know. He's had a really disappointing season too, right? Like there have been
Yeah.
a few moments, but
Eh.
yeah. Russell Clay at fantasyguru.com. What are you doing the next couple days, Russ? Heading into next week. You'll be back with us next Friday, I assume, or are you going to be gone traveling for the holidays?
I will be back next Friday. Okay. Ray, my big goal for the weekend.
Okay.
Let's get the laundry done. Let's go, baby. Let's lock in some laundry. Let's fold. I got some laundry behind me now. We got to organize this. We got to get the socks, the underwear locked in for the holiday season, right? So that's Russ's big plan for the weekend.
Yeah, I'm riding solo. I've told everyone my lady's in Iceland. She'll be back on Sunday morning. So I've been doing laundry. I've been feeding myself. I managed to make it through the week mostly. Cat's okay, dog's okay. Police haven't been called, so
no,
I feel like it's a win, Russ.
Ray, not getting too rowdy over there.
Not too rowdy. No, falling asleep on the couch a couple times because you know what the hell? Let's do it. Can't do that when the significant other's around. So, yeah, I've done multiple loads of laundry, as a matter of fact. So I hear you. Get those laundry.
Yeah.
I do the Marie Kondo thing. I don't know if you know who she is. She's like a person who helps like organize homes and that kind of thing. There's like the t-shirts. Like I roll them up into like little squares, and the underwear I roll them up into like little thin like cigars and stuff. Do you just jam things in the drawer, or do you
listen, pal? We don't have a high end establishment. Okay. So I do put the t-shirt in a drawer instead of hanging them up because that makes sense. But yeah, we got the sock drawer, underwear drawer,
right,
and then it's all just. What offense would I compare this to?
I don't know.
This is like a Browns with Shador offense where some weeks we get it rolling and other weeks it's like, why did he throw that? Why is that there?
Right. You mean the number one quarterback in the NFL according to ESPN?
That's right. Yeah.
How many pairs of shoes do you have as we close the show down today? Are you a shoe guy?
2.
Really?
Yeah, 2 pairs. I have the running, walking shoes, and then I have the dress up brown shoes.
Very economical.
I don't have and I have the black wedding shoes.
Okay.
So 3 technically, but those aren't going to be pulled out very often.
Maybe you should be with my significant other because I have like 10 pairs of shoes and it freaks her out. But
wow.
Yeah, I'm fancy.
Really okay.
Fancy. Yeah, you know. A lot of my clothes too, not that anyone cares about this, but what the hell? A lot of my clothes, I've been the same size since I was 18.
Really?
Like plus or minus like 5 pounds. So like, provided I don't trash my clothes, like I have a pretty good amount of clothes. Some of them are 15 years old. It's like, I can still wear the same clothes. So I just don't. She's like, you have so many clothes. I go, you've known me. How many clothes have I bought since you knew me over the last 11 years? Exactly. I got them because I took care of my stuff, you know. But anyway, no one cares about this. Head over to fantasyguru.com, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. $49.99 there for all of the football coverage. Everything Russ does, everything I do, everything Armando does, Justin Fensterman, Rich Miletto, Jeff Mans, Ted Schuster, Tyler Beaker, the whole crew. $50. And if you want, get that gift card because we give you free money if you use the gift card. So buy the gift card. Then buy the packages over at fantasyguru.com. Russ, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it. We will see you next Friday. Happy holidays. Have a great week next week. And we'll catch you up on Friday, and we'll have 3 football games to talk about because there's 3 games on Christmas Day.
Awesome. Thanks, Ray. Have a great weekend.
You got it. He's Russell Clay. I'm Ray Flowers. Head over to FG. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. Get signed up for the product. Support at fantasyguru.com. Support at fantasyguru.com. And head over to SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Elite Sports Show with Jeff Mans and Ted Schuster. For us, I'm Ray, Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com. We'll see you back here on Monday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.